morning, everyone. So this is the review of A Time of Dragons in the Shadow of Kings. I have the first one, A Time of Dragons, Once There Were Heroes, with me in my hardbound, beautiful copy. And I read the sequel in the Shadow of Kings on Kindle Unlimited, and I will be purchasing the hardbound shelf trophy version as soon as Broken Binding comes out with it. I did do some word research. So in the Shadow of Kings is 245,000 words. Yes? 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 In the Shadow of Kings, 245,000 words, which he said is his biggest book yet, I believe, is what he was referring to. He being Philip Quintrell. So for size reference, The Priory of the Orange Tree, this lovely book, is only 225,000 words. So in the Shadow of Kings is 20,000 more words than Priory, which Priory was actually supposed to be bigger. If you didn't know that, her editor asked her to cut off the ending, which was a huge disservice to the book, but they made up for it in A Day of Fallen Night. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about how absolutely flippin' phenomenal this world in the Shadow of Kings is. I gave Once There Were Heroes 5 stars. This is easy 5 stars. They're part of this world called, and I'm gonna butcher these names, I know I am, it's just who I am as a person. Verandera. And they take place about a millennia before the other books. So you can read these first or you can read those first. It doesn't matter from what I've been told, because these are the first and only books I've read by Mr. Quintrell, and I am planning on reading them all basically. But anyhow, so like I said, this is all that and a bag of chips. The things I do know that are not spoilers, Dajin Seth is my favorite person of all time. I don't know why, I really bonded with that character, and I really like the way he's written and who he is, and I'm excited to see him in the current timeline. Lorinus Blood, you'll meet the Lorinus family. I'm sorry if you hear a lot of slapping. Is unspillable, or it's like sacrilege to spill it, and that is going to pose a problem, I think. Again, who the heck is alive and who is dead? At the end of the books, there are cliffhangers, and you're like, I don't know who exactly is alive and dead. If you read the author's note, he kind of clears it up for you, but you're like, are the rest of the party going to survive this? Oh, the difference between a vision and a prophecy. So a prophecy will be fulfilled no matter how much meddling and, human interaction, mess ups, whatever. It's a prophecy. A vision is one path to what could happen, and things can change by what person, who raised them, money situations, history, who they came in contact with. That is an ebb and flow, constantly changing stream, and by trying to get to a vision, you are still messing with the vision. Anyhow, so it is on Kindle Unlimited. Philip Quintrell, I did not know this until being over halfway through in the Shadow of Kings, is an indie author, so he is partnered exclusively with The Broken Binding, which is a UK company, which makes sense because he's a British author. And you can get his hardbound signed copies there, which I plan on slowly accumulating, if not splurging, for my birthday. That being said, you don't have to have the gorgeous hardbound. You can still support Philip and his family and other indie authors by reading on your Kindle, Kindle Unlimited, or even the ebooks and stuff. I am just the crazy person that grew up with a library in my parents' house, and I want to provide that for my son as well. So my husband is very supportive, and this is just one wall. What was my other note? Oh, again, beautiful time jumps. Beautiful, beautiful time jumps. In my review of Once They Were Heroes, I talked about how you're in the current timeline and you jump at most 80 years into the past, and then you catch up to the future, kind of, and then you jump 16 years ahead, and then that becomes the current timeline. So there are no future jumps in the Shadow of Kings. You're just only going 40 years back, and it's also progressing up to the current timeline. And it ends. And I would need Philip to write faster. All right. I mean, it just, him, his editing team, whatever. These are so well written. When I started the book and he and I were talking about the progress I was making through the book, I told him directly that opening this book and reading it again felt like coming home. The way he just writes, the characters are so real. They stay true to their characterhood, like their person as a character. And it was just like seeing old friends after a long time, and just it was great, phenomenal. Homecoming vibes is what I wrote. So I know everything and I know nothing. It takes to this book for the evil person to show up and you'd be like, oh, that's who we're fighting. Great. Glad to have a face to the enemy. That being said, I still know nothing. I think I know what Dajan is gonna go do and what he needs to do, and I kind of think I know how he's gonna do it, but I don't. The thing with the egg, marvelous. Beautiful, marvelous. I'm trying to do this spoilers free, so if you're like, what egg? You want to wash your hands? Okay, hold on. I would have never predicted my kid would be this kid that has to wash his hands 20 times a day, but yes, baby. You're done? Okay, then put your plate in the sink. Yep. Alright, so I know everything and I know nothing, and I am so anxious for the third one. I was trying to talk to my mom about this book last night because I'm trying to convince her to read this book and put it on her ever-growing TBR from me. But yeah, I don't know how to talk about it without completely spoiling it, and it is a book that so does not need to be spoiled. So, all the characters you meet in Once There Were Heroes are back in the Shadow of Kings, and they continue their quest and journey, and of course, you learn so much more about the evil forces and who they were originally. And I think the coolest part, the prologue of Once There Were Heroes, comes back into play in the Shadow of Kings. You get to experience it firsthand from somebody else's point of view instead of one of the captured people's point of view. So that's pretty cool. I love that. That when I got there, I was like, this is exquisite writing. The fact that it came full circle and you get kind of like a behind the scene curtain peek at what actually happened that day, and now it just, like I said, I know everything and I still know nothing. Like, I don't think I will know everything until how many ever books this takes. I don't know how many books it's going to take, so don't quote me on this, but I can see it ending in the third book, and I can see it not ending in the third book. I can see this being a 5-7 book saga, and I can also see this just being a trilogy. I don't know. I'm happy to be here along for the ride. Like I said in the last one, I don't care if it's 3 books, I don't care if it's 7 books, as long as it's continued to being well done, I will be here, I will be reading them all. If you do want a physical copy, the Broken Binding is actually having a sale on the 30th. Keep in mind, it's in Britain, so it's their time. So I'm in Texas, so that's like what, 8-hour time difference. So I have alarms set because I at least would like to get at least the Ranger Archive, if not a couple of the Echo Saga. Or like I said, Kindle Unlimited. But yeah, 5 stars. I need somebody to read it so I can actually talk to somebody about it. Although I have had the blessing and honor and most humbling experience to be able to talk to Philip while I was reading in the Shadow of Kings. That was pretty awesome. He got several messages, and I'm sorry if I kept you up at night, going like, I can't believe you did that, or oh my gosh, you did that. And it was so awesome. Total fangirling over here. My husband was like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, you knew this. I fully disclosed how big of a nerd I was when we were dating. And after 7 years of marriage, no surprise. So yeah, 5 stars, 5 stars. They elevate it and make it a 10 stars, whatever. The highest of highs deserves to go to this book, and the two together, it's phenomenal. That being said, I read this in about 3 days. I read over half of it in one day, in one sitting, sat here in less than 4 hours and read it. I kept going until there were no pages to go to. You do not have to be a speed reader. You do not have to be a lover of high fantasy. Well, you need to like high fantasy. Like if you don't like high fantasy, you're not gonna like a book about fantasy. But if you're like a fan of Tolkien or Priory of the Orange Tree or Aragon, The Inheritance Cycle, Throne of Glass. I'm looking at all my books. The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence, and just any fantasy book. Any book you're like, yes, dragons are a requirement, here you go. Just a grand adventure. They're just beautiful. Like the lore, the myths, the legends, the twists, the turns, the revelations. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. It is not densely written. Smooth, beautiful. I could make this into 2 hours just using adjectives and synonyms describing how amazing this book is. But to save us all the time, please go check out Philip Quantrell, A Time of Dragons. Read Once There Were Heroes, and then read In the Shadow of Kings. And please message me because I need somebody to talk to, okay? All right, y'all have a great and awesome day, and keep an eye out for another book review.